start to think that, like, maybe this isn't so normal. Like, I don't hear my friends talking about showering like this at home, you know? We started to put two and two together. And instead of, like, fighting with each other, we kind of banded together in a way, you know? Like, we watched out for each other. And, some of us were capable of it more than others, but the ones that weren't, they didn't do so well, and those are the ones that we would never see again. Whether they put them in different houses or what have you, or however the system works, and where they put kids that are making it in a general scenario where they're supposed to be in placement. But I was lucky enough to be adopted by my friend's family, the Krasowskis, who were Jewish, Polish Russians, and blue collar at best. You know, they were a nurse and a fireman. And Andrew was 2 months older than me, and he was my best friend. So, man, I got to live with my best friend. Plain and simple. You know, like every once in a while, my mom and pop would stop by, but it was more just a cordial thing, just, you know, nothing even serious, just like almost because like they had to, you know. It wasn't anything I took very seriously or took to heart. If it was, oh hey son, how you doing? For my response would be, you know, it's going, it's doing, you know, it is what it is. Who are you again? You know, tend to have a little smart ass. My mouth would get me in trouble a lot when I was that age. One thing about Mike, my foster father, is every morning he would throw us in the cold pool. He was Russian and he was cut, and he says cold water is good for a young man. And I never thought anything of it, but not only would it wake us up, but he was changing our whole metabolism. He was changing our white fat cells into brown fat cells, which turns your metabolism into something that just eats up and just gets you cut and gives you more energy. And he was trying to give us an edge. We just didn't see it at the time. You know what I mean? Like he was showing us his morals and values and love the way he was showed. And in Russian culture, it's there, but compared to American culture, you would never realize it or see it unless you knew to look for it. And it was there. The love was there. The caring was there. It was just a completely different style than American culture. But once I saw it, what it was, then I knew it was there. Then I understood that they really did care about me as foster parents. But other than, regardless, when I was 9, I ran away to my grandfather's house on my mom's side, and he worked for Northrop Grumman. I don't know if I'm saying it right. The airplane company.
Northrop Grumman.
Yeah, there you go. Down in South Bay, and he did the interiors of airplanes, sealing them up, and during the day. But at nighttime, when he was at home on the stoop, he was a somebody. He was a Southsider, and someone at that. And he grew up in the Zoot Suit area, which, God, was a completely different time and place than now, compared to how you think of what, you know, Sereno gangs, Chicano gangs, any gang period. Back then, it was really about, we're going to protect the people that can't go to the authorities because they're illegals. And that's what he stood for, and that's what he stood by. And he believed that in his heart. And he believed the stories that went with it. And so he raised me with that. He raised me and showed me what it was going to be like a man of my family, and what was going to be expected of me. And gosh, I remember that house, like I could never once get one breath of fresh air. He was always testing my reflexes because he was a boxer, and even getting a bowl of cereal in the morning, it was open the door and look one way, look the other way, and just slowly try to make your way to the kitchen. But goddamn, he was fast and quiet. But that's just how he was trying to groom me, to be always aware of my surroundings, to always be prepared to think about the next step and what I was going to do. And it helped me a lot in life. I don't know, about at 9 years old, it was a little intense, you know, because I couldn't really grasp the concept at the time. But he did that, and I'll never forget my grandfather. He didn't fully know how to be a dad, but or a grandfather for that matter, but it took me a lot of work I had to do on myself to realize that, like, he wasn't throwing me to the wolves. He was showing me the way he knew how to show love. He was showing me his morals and values so that I could survive in the world that we were living in today. And that was more important than coddling, because I don't respond well to coddling. I don't respond well to, oh, so it's okay, guy, you're gonna be okay, you know, poor you, poor thing. I don't respond well to that, because it does nothing for me. I want the truth. I want it straight from the hip. I want to know what's going to happen and what I need to do to get by and survive. That's going to help me. Giving me a hug and a pat on the back and a piece of candy isn't going to help me. You know, I don't know about most kids, but that was the case for me. Yeah, man. Growing up there it was a trip. My grandpa's porch was kind of like the who's who of our neighborhood, and I'll never ever forget the first time I got loaded. I was 9 years old. I came out on the porch, and my buddy Demon was out there. He had a big can of the Old Dole pineapple juice and a bottle of Stoli vodka, some ice, and just a couple cups, and he made a drink. And after that, he proceeded to have like some sort of manila folder with some things in it that looked like almost like buttons, like freckles. And he crushed them up and he put them half and half, and he drink with their microdots. I don't know if you're familiar with microdots, you know, that acid mescaline mix they had back in the day.
Yep.
They're pretty fun, goofy, whatever. But he poured half and half in each drink, and here are me, I'm 9 years old, I've never been loaded a day in my life. And I remember him telling me, hey, check it out, I made a time machine. And I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, okay. But when I took that first sip, I remember the alcohol hitting me from just top to bottom. Just boom, boom. Like, I'll never forget it. Like, that instant head change. Like, and I'd been looking for that my whole entire life, you know? Just something just to check out, just to tune out, just to be able to breathe for once, you know? And that was that. So we hung out on the porch for a while until we made my way into my grandma's backyard, and she had cherry tomatoes that she grew in their backyard alongside one of the walkways, and I remember stepping on one of the tomato cherries. I'll never forget it. And not only did I step on the tomato cherry, I heard, felt, and just everything. Every sense you could give off, I heard it explode under my foot and felt it, and just immediately started laughing as hard as I could in slow motion, or to what I thought was slow motion. Just you know, typical, you know, on psychedelics, and you're laughing really long and hard and what have you. And I've never felt that effect before, and so it was hilarious to me. So anyways, we hung out in the backyard for a while, and I don't know, I just tripped out, did some of the bugs. There was always a lot of praying mantises back there, so I looked at the praying mantises and stuff. And then dusk came around, and I looked at my buddy Demon, and just as his name is, he got a real concerned look on his face. I could tell he was deep in thought, and that's why they call him Demon. because he gets that look on his face, and he said, "Come with me." And we went to his mom's house down the street, and he went up in the rafters and he grabbed a case, if you will, and there was a shotgun in it. Told me to wait there. Came back about 45 minutes later with a old beat down Toyota Tercel, the kind when the seat belts like went on the track for you. You remember those ones? Yeah. And I was in the front seat, and when I got in the car, my buddy Shaggy was in the back seat, and Shaggy was 12 years old, I was 9. Robert was 14 years older than us. A little more seasoned and with the business, or ready for what he had signed up for, you know. He knew he was rolling it. So we were driving around the neighborhood, and I knew where our destination was. And I was already putting 2 and 2 together, what we were gonna go do. I just couldn't really fathom like that it was even about to happen, or that I was about to be part of this. I couldn't understand why. And we had 2 more lefts to make, and on that first left I heard boom. It was the loudest boom I've ever heard in my life. And Shaggy had accidentally discharged the shotgun into his inner thigh, into his arterial, what do they call it? The main artery?
Artery?
Right? Yeah. I remember looking at his khakis and just seeing birdshot and just everything there, and being just deaf. And so we zoomed back to our neighborhood, and I didn't even get a chance to pull him out of the car. I just underhooked him, and Demon had sped off so fast that we both just kind of fell out of the car. And the only thing I could think of at the time was, I remember when I would get home from school, sometimes I'd watch MASH, you know, and they would put pressure on the wound. That was the only thing I could think. And so I remember putting pressure on his leg. The guy taking my shirt off, put pressure on the leg. And I remember looking at all the families in the neighborhood looking at us like we were just bad kids. Like we were just, like they were scared of us or something. But it took me like a lot of work and a lot of years later for me to realize that it was the complete opposite. They were scared for us. Got a 9 and a 12-year-old kid, one with a shotgun wound to the leg, and this is the street that they're growing up on. They're supposed to be playing basketball and riding bikes on, and throwing footballs and having fun, not dealing with shotgun wounds. And his parents were from Honduras, and he had one other brother, and they had moved there specifically so that they could have a better life for their 2 sons. And I'm sitting there lying to their parents that, yeah, some car drove by and shot him in the leg, you know? She broke my heart. But she broke my heart. Sorry. Essentially, they took him to the hospital that night, and they gave him the wrong blood transfusion, and so he died that night. And from that point on, I realized that drugs and alcohol were how we got by in the environment that we're living in. That was my perception of it at the time, at 9 years old, that this is a toolbox, and if I mix this drug and this alcohol, I can act this way, or and vice versa, and this and so on and so forth, and I can have like this sort of like false bravado, you know, because I'm just a scared little kid living in the 1990s in the lower bottoms of East Los Angeles, downtown, and yeah, I was scared. I'm not too ashamed to admit that I was scared. And it changed me after time. After enough drug use, it was just was just so normal. It definitely took a different toll, like a different mentality. I don't think I would have been that sort of person on drugs. Then I would have been off drugs, you know. Maybe similar. Who knows? Who's to say?
What do you think people don't understand about drug addiction?
What do they not understand about drug addiction?
What do squares, people that are not in this lifestyle, not understand about drug addiction?
First and foremost, that it does not decipher between someone who has a 401k and $1 million house compared to someone who lives in a trailer park. It doesn't care if you're black, white, purple, yellow, green. It doesn't care if you've had a great upbringing or a horrible upbringing. It does not decipher between the two. It doesn't discriminate at all. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care who you are. It's a disease. It's dis-ease. And there's not one person that is not susceptible to it. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Queen of England with super whatever genetics. It doesn't matter. You're susceptible to it too.
Yeah, I've seen the best of the best get taken down.
Absolutely. And they might actually have it worse because they'll have a lot of yes people in their life and the financials to go along with it to carry on their addiction.
To enable their...
To where they'll never have to
structure.
Do things that say, more people in the ghetto have to do to carry on their habit. So they'll never have those consequences.
Yeah.
They'll never have those consequences, and therefore they'll never stop. And that's on them. That's just their walk. And I can't speak on that because I've had plenty of consequences. I've had plenty of chances. And I was reverted back. What
is your drug?
So when I first started doing drugs, first time I got loaded was on vodka and microdose. And so I drank a little bit, and we thought we were smoking pot, which was like Mexican brickweed, but it was actually laced in sherm. And
PCP?
Yeah, no, PCP. We didn't realize it at the time. I didn't realize until 4 years later that I'd been smoking PCP the whole time and not even pot. Because I'd smoked some pot with my friends and I said, I'm not high. And they're like, what are you talking about? And that's when it finally clicked that I wasn't smoking pot. I'd been smoking PCP for the last 4 years since 9 years old. And it was just bizarre feeling that I was like, oh, okay, that's why I'm a little bit different than my friends. Maybe either a little more aggressive or just, I don't know, a little more off the wall, I guess you could say. But
so this is fentanyl?
This is fentanyl. With the fentanyl, the first time I did heroin, I was 11 years old, and I'd gotten shot after school. I did school with my friends, and we were in about a group of 9 kids walking back to our block, and a car pulled up with an older teenager in the car, in the back seat, window rolled down, screaming, "What neighborhood are you from?" And before we could even speak, he already knew where we were from and who we were, and began to take shots at us. And I took 2 shots that day. I took one in the back of the buttock and one into the back of my leg and the back of my kneecap, because I had fallen forward, and so the trajectory of it went like straight through my leg, like straight up my leg. And to be honest, I really didn't feel it.